On today's episode of Locked On NHL, how many seasons does it take Lane Hutson to be worth double his contract?
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Locked On NHL, your daily podcast in the National Hockey League. We are your team each and every day. We are your first listen every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we'll talk about trouble in paradise with the Buffalo Sabres. Tage Thompson already making some comments that are worth looking into. We'll also take a look at the big payday for Lane Hutson and the unbelievable core that the Montreal Canadiens have put together. We'll also take a look at a tough injury situation for the Detroit Red Wings. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, joined, as always, by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. And JD, we have 2 fewer goals through 3 games than the Buffalo Sabres do as a team.
Speak for yourself, buddy. What do you think I've been doing last week?
Working on one-timers from the slot.
Crushing one-timers, baby. Yeah, you set them up, and I crush them.
Ripping one-timers. The Buffalo Sabres are 0-3. They've scored 2 goals.
Yikes.
Not a great start.
No.
And this is a situation that is very, very worth monitoring because the Buffalo Sabres have a certain high echelon player, Tage Thompson.
Yep.
And he could be the latest in a long line of players that says, I'm out.
That's fair. I mean, and not only to take time, like you heard Thompson, you heard Darlene. They both said this year, we got to start doing something this year. And the Sabres have done the actually opposite of doing something this year, and that is doing nothing. Like you said, this team has scored 2 goals this season. That I did the math. That's less than a goal per game. Hard to win games when you're scoring less than a goal per game. I don't care who is your goalie. But I know this team is really injured right now, right? Josh Norris is going to be out for, sounds like 8 weeks. I know Jordan Greenway is on IR. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is also on IR. Michael Kessering, who you got as part of the JJ Peterka, also like this team is beat up right now. But like the vibes for a team the vibes were really fragile and have been very fragile for this team over the past couple seasons. Not a great way to get the season started, right? And it's already feeling like a lost season in Buffalo, and we're a week into the season, and that is a terrible sign for a team that is been in a perpetual rebuilds for the last 15 years now of trying to figure this thing out. So I don't know, man. Like we talked about this team in the off season a lot, but it does feel like do you fire the coach? Do you like Lindy Ruff, who did not sound great in his post game from the other day? It sound like, what do you do? Like, do you just chalk it up to injuries? Like, what do you do if you're the Sabres at this point?
I mean, I think it's so weird too, because it's not as though it's not for lack of trying. Like, it's not like they are in a situation where they're kind of trying to get themselves back up. And so they're in like that quote unquote, we're not rebuilding, we're retooling type thing. Like they have been ramming their heads into the wall to try to make this thing work pretty much every season. And a couple years ago, they came close. Don Granato had that team fighting for a playoff spot up to the end of the year. They were electrically fun to watch.
Yes.
And it seems like I'll use this example. It seems like a little piece of that Buffalo Sabres team died that year, and they have not gotten it back since. And it feels like, and I'm sure a lot of people in the organization kind of thought that was their chance. That was their go at it. And it wasn't enough. And it just feels like it has taken life force out of just about everybody that's left.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with this roster, right? Because like you have young, talented players, right? And they're kind of stuck in that spot where yes, they're going to start scoring goals here at some point. Like I don't expect this team to be the worst offense in the NHL with some of the players they have, right? But like they're clearly not going to make the playoffs at that. Like, you know, like as sad, but like a week into the season, like would you be safe to say like, yeah, I don't think the Sabres are making the playoffs this year? You know, like you're putting them down there with Chicago, with San Jose, where it's like these teams are not making the playoffs this year. But like, is this team going to be bad enough to be in the McKenna sweepstakes? And even if you do get Gavin McKenna, you know, the Sabres are probably going to screw it up anyway and end up having to trade him in a couple of years because that's what they do. They're this poor, you feel so bad for the fans, but this franchise just cannot get out of its own way time and time again.
I had somebody ask on social media, how are you so sure that this is how this ends with the Sabres? Like, you don't just give up like potential franchise players because you can't find a way to win. And I'm like, can I introduce you to the history of the Buffalo Sabres?
Right? Like how many players leave the Sabres and then turn into like amazing players, right? Jack Eichel just got paid a ton of money. You look at like half the Florida Panthers roster is made up of former Sabres players. Like it's insane like how they leave this organization and then all of a sudden they become stars. Because again, I think it's clearly at this point, it's just ownership in Buffalo, right? It has to be ownership in Buffalo. And that's everybody knows it's ownership in Buffalo, but yeah, it's got to be so frustrating where like again, like you have Rasmus Dahlin who's 25, Owen Powers 22, Bowen Byron was 24, like on your blue line, you know, like you said, Tage Thompson, you have Jack Quinn who's an exciting player. Like you have all these like guys who are, you know, about ready to enter the prime of their career here. And this team just cannot get out of its own way. And it's such a weird situation. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though, like game coming up, the Sabres put up like 7 goals or something like that, where you just like have that like moment of like everything clicks for you. But it's been a terrible start for a team that like could not afford a terrible start. And now I assume the like self-doubt is already creeping in.
Yeah, it's becoming untenable with Buffalo, and you can't fall. What's the old adage? You can't make the playoffs in October, but you can certainly miss them. Yeah, and there's just too much talent on this team, but what is the direction? Like, what's the goal? What's the aim? What's the identity? Like, it's one thing to have a bunch of nice young talent, but what is your identity? What's your calling card? I don't know if Buffalo has one.
Yeah. How long do you give them before you have to make some sort of move, whether it's firing the coach or whatever it is? Because it feels like it's getting very late, very early for them.
I mean, I think
Halloween.
I was going to say early November. So, you know, another 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And if this hasn't righted, like if you just are continuing to kind of flounder like this, I think you have to. Like you are, this is the price you pay for the pressure of missing the postseason as much as you have. you have to make some drastic decisions to get yourself back into that position. And it feels like a lot of the moves and the decisions that Buffalo has made lately have not panned out.
Yeah, you wonder if Lindy Ruff is gone by then, and then Kevin Adams gets seen the door at the end of the season as well, and then new GM can hire a new GM, they can hire a new coach, and you kind of go from there. And hopefully, it's a very good draft this year. So if you're in the top 10, you'll probably feel pretty good. So
that would be the exact order that I would do it in.
Hire the GM, hire the coach.
Yep. If Lindy Ruff is escorted out the door during the season, Kevin Adams is gone at the end of the year.
1 million. I mean, Kevin Adams is probably gone at the end of the year anyway, unless they find if he's been there since 2020. So yeah, I think if this team misses the playoffs this year, I think he's also seen the door as well. So
because the other part of this too is you have to be calculated in the business side of it. The earlier you make the decision that you got to make a move, the earlier you can start on the jump.
Play in the field.
Pete DeBoer is just sitting out there. If that's the route that you want to go, considering his track record, maybe
you're going to make the conference finals. Yes.
Maybe you bring him in to get you back on the right track, and then you cut bait before you stab the goalie in the back.
Noted goalie stabber, Pete DeBoer.
Yeah, he's done it a lot. He is ghost face for the NHL. Just stabbing. We will shift our focus to a large extension handed out to one of the premier young defensemen in the NHL. And we'll talk about the core that the Montreal Canadiens have been assembling. Holy cow. That is coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Just pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I have been trying to bang the drum for Matt Boldy as a Hart Trophy candidate. I know it's a super long shot, 50,000 to 1, but imagine if that cashes out. So here's what you do. You pick your favorite team to win outright. And if they do, if they're not the Buffalo Sabres, then you take your winnings after that $5 bet cashes, you throw it all on one of your favorite long shots in the Hart Trophy voting. Doesn't have to be Matt Boldy. Matt Boldy's mine, but it could be somebody else. It could be Cole Caulfield. It could be Kirby Doc. Just go nuts. And you will thank me later. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. JD, we're talking Montreal Canadiens, and arguably outside of the biggest surprise on the Canadiens roster so far, which is Zach Bolduc with 3 goals. Former St. Louis Blues legend, Zach Bolduc, just going crazy. Lane Hutson secured the Brinks truck as he signs a massive extension with the Montreal Canadiens. 8 years, $70.8 million. It'll carry a cap hit of $8.85 million each season. And it runs through the 2033-2034 season. That feels like a made-up year.
That's not real. Those aren't real numbers.
There's no chance.
No.
Quite a big contract to sign a guy to at 21 years old, coming off of his first NHL season. But Why does this feel like a steal for the Canadiens?
100% feels like a steal for the Canadiens. Right? You just locked down the Calder trophy winner from last year, and you have a dynamic offensive defenseman who can change the way the game is played. And as you see, these younger offensive defensemen have more of an impact. And this contract feels like a steal. Like, I was shocked. I thought this thing was going to start with a 10. I thought it was going to push for 12. It did not. And the Canadiens did it again. Just absolutely did it again with these contracts. They have been signing guys to steals for the past couple of seasons. You look at Nick Suzuki making less than $8 million, Cole Caulfield making less than $8 million as well. They can't keep getting away with it, as you like to say. I know they're going to decide Demidov at some point, and I feel like that one's going to be a hassle. But can you guess which player on the Canadiens? You probably have Puckpedia right in front of you, but can you guess which Canadian player has the highest AAV contract?
I mean, if I had to guess, I would assume it was Lane Hutson.
It is not. It is Noah Dobson, who they traded for this season. So all these players that they have drafted and developed are all on these ridiculous contracts, right? And Noah Dobson, that was part of the trade. Like, as you do, you're going to have to pay him, which they were happy to do. But like I said, like, all these guys that, you have drafted and developed, and like, who are going to be your core pieces for the next, 5 to 10 years are all on these ridiculous deals that allow you to do a bunch of other stuff. The Canadiens have plenty of ammo. They still have a ridiculous prospect pool. They have plenty of stuff where if they want to, they have their own first round pick this year. They have 2 second round picks. They have plenty of deadline space. Like, they can be extremely aggressive at the trade deadline if they want to be, because they have great contracts and they have plenty of assets. And this is a team that is just starting to get going with what they have here. And yeah, this Lane Hutson deal is ridiculous. I'm actually surprised his agents side. Like, you do wonder, like, for a guy who, we were talking about this beforehand, right? Because Lane Hutson burnt the first year of his ELC to play a couple games, played all of last year as his rookie year, but it was the second year of his contract. You wonder if Hudson didn't burn that first year and he had 2 years left on his deal, so he wasn't eligible for an extension, what this contract would look like, right? So if you had last year and this year, and then you go into next offseason to try to sign a contract, like you said, this contract is probably double. No, I don't know what you're paying him, but it is definitely not $8 million or 8 point whatever he's making. Yeah.
His contract will be directly influenced by whatever Cale Makar makes. So let's say Cale Makar makes 13.
Even that feels light. He'll probably sign it because the Avs, right? It'll probably be like, we're trying to win here and we need you to take a realistic number. But
Hudson's gonna get 16. Think about that.
Next year, if you, I would have put I think 13 if Hutson goes out and has another strong, if he's anywhere near a point per game as a defenseman this year. I know it's been a little slow for him to start out this year, which I think probably just dealing with his contract stuff. But now that it's over with, I wouldn't be surprised if Hutson goes on a tear here. I think I would have put it 12, 13 next year. If he was to sign his contract in the summer of 2026.
Here's an interesting question. So when is the legitimate window? When does the legitimate window start for Montreal?
I think it started open. I think you pulled up the blinds here. You're unlocking it, and you're getting ready to push that bad boy open. And I think it's just how the core performs to start the season. If they play well and this team is set to be in a comfortably in a playoff spot, then I think, that's when you see them start to be aggressive, right? Like Kent Hughes can literally be like, okay, we got our stuff here. Let's go. And the crazy part is like you have a 5th overall pick in David Reinbacher who can't stay healthy. Like, imagine if he's in the mix at some point here too. Like it's this team is just ridiculous. So good for Laura and Ian over at Locked On Canadiens. But
if Zach Bolduc is going to score a goal a game, just ride that out.
That's like 82 goals.
I would love
Could
to
you
have
imagine trading him?
I would love to have a Zach Bolduc on my team.
Could you imagine trading Zach Bolduc?
I cannot.
I'd be infuriated.
I would simply keep Zach Bolduc.
Just keep Zach Bolduc. It seems like a smart thing to do. Kent Hughes, good at his job. But yeah, I think the window is very much like starting to creep up. Yes. I think that they pulled up the blinds. They're checking the weather app to see if you can open the windows yet. So
I think if you get any sort of indication over the next couple of years that the Canadiens are off to a hot start, and you feel like it's not like a flash in the pan, like it's sustainable, you supplant it with some moves. You just start emptying the cupboard, so to speak.
Yeah, I think this year's still like it's hard for me to see this year to be like an actual contender, but I could see them, get out of the first round, get to the second round, play some big boy playoff hockey here, and then next offseason you just go full bore. I could totally see that. So,
I agree. I like that.
A team that we don't know when they're ever going to get to the playoffs again. Look at this segue. I'm taking your job, Seth. Taking your job.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we go from a team that has all the hope and all of the promise to a team that may not have any left. How does the Yzer plan handle a major injury? We will discuss after this here on today's Locked On NHL.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments, and when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you're putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is there for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It's like your own personal Puckpedia. The great thing about it is you can maximize your investments, increase your savings, even see how much money you're spending each month on Cam Fowler jerseys. They've got you covered. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Make sure, again, to like on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. We appreciate wherever you tune in, and we thank you for making Locked On NHL part of your daily listening plans. Let's talk Detroit Red Wings here, JD, to finish the show, as Lucas Raymond's fairly important piece for the Yzer plan in Detroit. He did not. He left the game against the Maple Leafs, got plastered into the boards by one Chris Tanev. Side note,
hasn't.
Do you think there is any level of discipline from the Department of Player Safety for that hit? Potential discipline?
What a concept. A bonus. Slipping him an envelope and not with a fine.
So
that'll teach that skilled player.
So just looking at the hit, he goes in basically sideways, like
Yeah.
head first into the boards, and did not return. And Todd McClellan said he did not have an update on Lucas Raymond, who is categorized with an upper body injury.
Yep.
So, how concerned should the Red Wings be? Because again, Raymond, pretty important piece to what they are trying to do.
You should be very concerned if you're a Red Wings fan, right? You have they've trotted out a lot of young defensemen this year, so you're hoping a guy like Lucas Raymond can come in and help provide some more scoring and do cool Lucas Raymond things this year as this team finally tries to get over the hump and make the playoffs. And if you're not able to ice Lucas Raymond, like who else do you feel comfortable kind of carrying the load for you offensively? Dylan Larkin's good, but like this team, I don't think they don't have that firepower that you feel comfortable about like day in, day out to help score goals for a team that I think is going to kind of struggle to score goals. I mean, I know Alex DeBrincat's pretty awesome too, but like Lucas Raymond feels like he's kind of the straw that makes the thing, stirs the drink or whatever. I think you have to be very concerned about Lucas Raymond and his availability for this team.
What about the Red Wings situation in general? Because Todd McClellan had some very interesting comments in the early part of the season, basically saying, we can't really afford to wait for people to figure it out. Like, you should know how to do it at this point. And he came in last year, they got off to that horrible start last year.
Yep.
And he comes in to try to kind of spark them. They do end up playing well for a while.
Yep.
Then they slide again. They kind of right the ship at the end of the year, but it's a similar situation to the Buffalo Sabres. This was in the early 2000s. This team was a take it to the bank playoff team. Like, the moment the season starts, you head to FanDuel and you say division winner, cup final. Like, you make bets on both of those and you take that to the bank. And now they have not been able to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's been part of this very slow rebuild that like Eisman, I feel like at times tried to speed up the rebuild, but wasn't able to. He was trying to be aggressive and add pieces, but he was never able to kind of land that big fish. And we've heard about some of the guys he kind of swung and missed for. And this year it kind of felt like, well, you know what? I got all these young dudes anyway. I might as well just play them, right? Especially when you look at this defense, right? You have Axel Sandin Pellikka, Simon Edvinsson. Like, you have a lot of young players, Mo Seider, who is only 24, but it feels like he's been in the league for 10 years already. He's like one of those guys who's, it's like he's going to be in the league for 1,000 years type of player. But he's like, I drafted all these young dudes. I've been kind of waiting for them to come around. And it feels like this year he's just finally was like, well, let's just do the super young thing and see what we got here with some of these players. But yeah, it's just this team. And then they went out and they tried to solve their goaltending by trading for John Gibson. But again, you have two young goalies who are kind of up and coming, with Kosa. And then this team it feels like they're, sorry, Trey Augustine's the other guy I was looking for. It feels like they keep trying to speed things up, and the hockey universe is just like, no, it's like keep slapping them back down. And like, you totally see John Gibson probably playing well for at some point, and then he's going to get hurt. And it's because John Gibson always gets hurt every year. And then at some point, they're just going to have to turn to one of these young goalies that they drafted high and wait for, and like have him be the guy, just like they've been planning. But they just never are. They're just too impatient for it, right? So I don't know, man. This Red Wings team just doesn't do it for me right now. And yeah, you do wonder what the eyes are playing. Like, at some point, what are you guys going to do here?
Has John Gibson already been benched? He started against the Montreal Canadiens, and he has not been back in since.
Interesting.
He gave up 5 goals in 37 minutes. Cam Talbot.
I would love for a goalie to only give up 5 goals. Sorry.
Yeah. What is that like? So Cam Talbot has started the other 2 games. Like I find that very interesting because John Gibson was the big offseason move.
Yeah. That's interesting. Because today it was Talbot. They play the Panthers on Wednesday. Big game, right? You got the defending champion coming in. I know the Panthers lost today to the Flyers, but like that's a big game. And if you can hang with the Panthers for a good chunk of this game, I think you come out feeling good about it. Do they go back to Talbot? Or do you think you see Gibson, right? Gibson, who's supposed to be your guy.
Do you really? Yeah, because you got both Florida teams coming up, and then Edmonton. So you can't really gradually get Gibson back in unless you hold him till the Buffalo game.
That's a long time,
like over a week away.
Yeah, I think you play Gibson on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to like burn out Talbot right away.
And again, case in point, Exhibit A, John Gibson. Like you went out and got him. Like you have him now.
Yep.
You play him.
Yeah, I think Gibson starts. Yeah.
Well, all is not well in Detroit. Although
that's
a
brutal start, man. That's a brutal start to your season.
Yeah, just getting absolutely clapped by the Montreal Canadiens. They did beat Toronto twice, so that was.
Then you're like, oh, let's bring in the Panthers, and then you got Panthers, Lightning, Oilers. That's a murderer's row to start your season.
2 games against Logan Mailloux and the St. Louis Blues as well. So I almost said Zachary Bolduc, but he's with the Canadiens.
Could you imagine?
I cannot, but I can imagine that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On NHL. So once again, make sure to like and subscribe like Cam Fowler does so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got new episodes for you every Monday through Friday, so make sure to join for the rest of the regular hosts here at Locked On NHL who take you through the biggest news stories of the season as it unfolds. Also, make sure to check out Game Night with a full recap of every single game. The schedule has been bonkers to start the season. Like we are already committing atrocities with the schedule. I don't want to talk about that.
No games on that Friday night. What are we doing?
That was insane.
Insane, NHL. Come on.
Bonkers. So Game Night has you covered with recaps of all the games from all your favorite Locked On hosts. So make sure to subscribe to them as well. We have new episodes for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team each and every day.